let's think back to Netflix. DVD by mail. Blockbuster is the gold standard. It was a retail model. They have 4,000 things in their store that they rent on an a la carte basis overnight. 90% of what they rent comes from what's called the new release wall. And the core thesis in the marketplace is that what consumers want to watch are new releases. Netflix has this revolutionary view of the home video market that's not true. That what consumers want to watch are movies they like, but they can't remember the names of them. And they rely on their friends to tell them what it is they should be watching. And they walk into the Blockbuster store and they use the new release wall to find something to watch, because the middle of the store, which has thousands of DVDs, is just, too imposing to actually flip through. And plus, you don't recognize any of the titles, so they don't mean anything to you. Okay, so 90% of what Blockbuster rents is new release. 30% of what Netflix rents is new release, and 70% is catalog. It actually, for the first time ever, creates a catalog content in the home video marketplace. And in the process of doing that, it developed an understanding of what Ben likes. It's different from what Harry likes. It's different from what Barry likes, and Gustav likes, and Daniel likes. And when you come to the website, the content that it serves you is what Netflix thinks you like. This is something that Daniel has invested in aggressively at Spotify. Okay, now, if it's really true that I know what you like, I can begin to shift demand. So if I have a limited number of suppliers and one of them is charging me a lot for my content and one of them is charging me a little for my content, let's do Universal and Warner by way of example. Let's make this specific. So Universal thinks that the way it maximizes its profit is by maximizing its profit margin. And so its cost per movie is pretty expensive. But Warner takes a different strategic approach. They think the way they maximize their profit is by lowering the cost of their content and making it cheaper for you to buy. And if it's cheaper for you to buy, you will buy a disproportionately large percentage of it, and they will punch above their market share, which is in fact what happens now. That strategy only works for someone like Netflix if they're able to demand shift you from a Universal title to a Warner title without sacrificing your satisfaction. And as it turns out, there are a ton of movies that they can demand shift you to because they do know what you like, and they can find something that's nearly similar to in Warner's catalog to something that you did want in the Universal catalog, and you won't even notice the shift. And as I say, in the process of doing that, they maintain customer sat. Now, I think we had 100,000 things to choose from, so owning demand creation, becomes super important now. It's infinitely more important in the music biz because Daniel's got 100 million things for people to choose from, and you would love a bunch of them, but you're never going to find them because there's just too much stuff. But because he understands, your demand, or he understands, your likes and your dislikes, he's able to drive discovery and, drive this virtuous cycle. And he's able to demand shift so that when individual suppliers trying to extract margin from him, he can depress demand for their content on his website and shift to lower cost content from other people's. And in the process, he's been able to negotiate economic incentives with his various suppliers that reflect his ability to own and shift demand creation. So at a high level, I would say, it's kind of in summary, whoever owns demand creation owns the gross margin.
How do you do demand creation theory well without having supplier churn? Because if you do it well, everyone moves to lower cost of content, but then do you not get supplier churn on the higher cost, which then no longer have engagement?
Well, where are the suppliers going to go?
Create their own? Disney?
Yes, but think how many years it took before Disney underwrote the cost of trying to get there. Right? There are real barriers to entry associated with trying to build out your distribution to end users. And there are many examples of music labels, by way of example, who tried and failed. So all of the music labels, almost all the music labels, let's take Sony, went down this path. And it wasn't until they went down the path and failed that they repositioned themselves and licensed content. Sirius XM tried to do the same thing. Stars tried to do the same thing and then pivoted and licensed. So Disney's one of the few examples of a company that had a brand that was umbrella, that was broad enough that consumers saw value in the brand broadly enough that they were willing to license the content as a subscription model. But many, many, many companies have tried and failed.
I think Disney, you're right, probably is one of the only ones who have that consumer brand recognition